proprietary to Delta. We had it made. And this is kind of that area of operation I talked about. So think about this as a scale of, hey, you've got this much area to work with. I have a performance window of so much room. There's 3 lines there. We've got that blue line at the bottom. That's your sense wire. That's that orange wire coming out of that box. And it's looking for a signal. You see right now it's just flat. There's a little bit of waves and stuff on it. Then you've got a, I'm going to zoom in on a little bit. You've got a line right above it. That is your spout. And it's saying if I go above that, I know I have a signal that was a touch or grab on my spout. The line above that is your hub or handle activation line. If that line goes above this line, I know somebody is either touching or grabbing the handle. Now, I talked to you a little bit earlier about coupling metallic objects to metallic objects. What you'll notice in our integrated product versus our widespread product is that the electronic module for our integrated has 1 wire coming out of it for a sense wire. It's going to 1 shank. In our widespread models, we have a handle and a spout that are separate, so we have 2 wires. This is much easier to do because you're just looking for a signal on this one, you're looking for a signal on this one. With integrated, we have to get a little bit innovative. So what we've done is we've created a coupling between these 2 components. This spout is not conductively connected to this base. And we achieve that with this non-conductive spacer right here. So there's a lip at the bottom that prevents this ledge from contacting the top ledge here. And the whole material is preventing contact to that brass post in the middle. So when I make it that close, because that brass shank coming up the middle is conductive and it's coupling with a known isolation. We know how thick that spacer is, and it's coupling with this section of the tube. So it's essentially coupling with this whole spout. So when I touch this, you're going to see my signal is going to be much larger than when I touch the top spout. So I'm going to just do a quick series of grabs and taps to show you guys what that looks like. So I'm going to do a tap, grab, push pause, and we'll see what that looks like. So you see, I have duration markers there. I have a very small duration for a tap, and it's not very high. That was on my spout. I have a much longer duration there, and not as high, and that's that grab on the spout. And then you see the subsequent ones, a touch and a grab on the valve, much higher. So what you need to notice here is duration is, hey, the faucet's looking at that signal and saying, hey, how long was it and how high was it? And it's going to say, that was a grab on my handle, that was a grab on my spout. What do I do about it? And it's doing some processing, and it's either sending a signal to open or close, and also do I turn my light on or off. So that's how we're determining what's going on and what action do I take. So I talked to you about opportunity. So we have this blue line. My battery pack has provided me a reference, and let's call that reference around that 525 range. At 525 counts of something, that's where I'm going to work with, and my ground reference is there. So I'm 525 counts of something, and I come in and it knows that I'm around that point, and I'm creating some signal strength. As I start to do things wrong, I'm going to start to lose how much signal I get. These things will start to go down. Now, as long as I still go above those thresholds, I'm still going to have some operation. But as I start to do things wrong, I'm losing some of that. But I also might do some other things wrong where I start shifting this up. So I only have so much room to work with from here to here with that blue line, and I only have so much room to work with before I start tapping on something and it doesn't go above those lines. So I'm going to just turn this on, let it start rolling, and I'm going to do some things under here. I've got some stuff connected to earth ground, which happens a lot under the cabinet with electric. I'm going to start like putting a battery close to that earth ground, and you'll see the effect it has on the signal. keep in mind, every time I do something with the faucet, if it's a big change, it'll actually lock out and it will recalibrate. It'll go through a 20-second recalibration to where you're doing stuff with it and it won't react. But after 20 seconds, it will recalibrate. So right now, all I'm doing is I'm getting close to that battery pack. And you can see it knows I'm near it. If I lay it next to earth ground, you can see it kind of goes up and down. So I'm losing a little bit of that window. If I take this part of the faucet that's conductive, and I couple it with earth ground, I lose my sensitivity. I'm at the top of my window now, and so I've just given up. I am directly connected to earth ground. Right now it's recalibrating. It's not going to do anything. It'll recalibrate here in a second. Now those lines are above it, it's shut off, but I don't think I'm going to be able to get it to do anything. It doesn't really even know I'm touching it. It doesn't have a good ground reference because it's directly connected to ground here and it's trying to do something with ground here. It sees me a little bit on the valve. I might be able to come in here and I can't even get above it. So I'm going to take that off of earth ground. I'm going to get some of that signal back. Now it's just coupled directly with me. And I wasn't directly connected to it. If I'm directly connected to it, it's almost the same as earth ground because I'm connected to earth ground. If I isolate or insulate myself from it a little bit, it's still coupling with me. So I'm coupled with earth ground. You'll see I'm barely going over that activation line now. If I get a little bit more coupled with it, now my spouts, it's not very consistent. Sometimes it turns on, sometimes it turns off. So I'm starting to encroach upon that threshold. My peaks aren't very high. I'm just going to drop it. I'm not even coupled with it now. That wire is just hanging there and it's swinging. If you guys want to get up and get back here and see what it looks like, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start wrapping some of these wires around each other.
Can we turn it around or no? What do you think?
It's going to be hard because of the cables. Okay. But I would recommend, hey, get up, get back here, take a look.
Come on guys,
This thing looks
stretch
like,
your legs.
looks like a rough day out on the ocean.
Have you?
Spencer will bite.
So all I've done is I have this connected to my faucet, and it's just swinging a little bit. But you also see I've lost some of my sensitivity. Now it's still working for me, but I lost some of that sensitivity. If I move this over here, just depends what it's close to. Now I've lost even more. So how close am I to different things? It's going to make a difference. Now I'm going to simulate connecting it to just another extra piece of metal, this little cap. There's shanks and there's clips, there's all kinds of C-clips. Not too bad, it's stable. There's no noise on it anymore, but as you can see, I lost some of that window. I'm going to get to a point where if I get that blue line up past the 750 range, it's not going to work. But I talked about the magnitude of those signals. Hopefully I still got good signal here and here. So I wasn't perfect here. I'm coupling with a little extra piece of metal here. I can have this be my touch point now. But I'm still working. We've accommodated some of that area. Now if I do some different stuff with my battery, and maybe if I start to wrap some wires together, now I've got more than one thing going on, maybe not so good. So this is that compound effect. I did this wrong. I hope that's the only thing. If I do this wrong, and this wrong, I'm going to be in a little bit worse shape. Now I'm going to take this back to a good install. Take all this, these wires off and just put the battery pack on the bottom. Back down at a good range. I've got good signal strength. I'm well above those lines. Ideal situation. So when we routed that LED wire, I talked about these clips in the bracket. We got an LED wire which was cut on one of your faucets. We're going to route it this way, keep it away from that orange line coming up and hook them. We want this and this wire to be separated. What I'm gonna do right now is I'm gonna take these wires and I'm just gonna wrap them around each other. This one is a little bit different. I'm just gonna kind of wrap them around each other. I want you to see what it does up here. I'm actually going to unhook one just to get it in a better position for me. Now, I did something weird to it, so it's saying, oh, that's a big change. Not going to work. After 20 seconds, it's going to recalibrate. And now we're back to, hey, we're happy again. Now I'm going to start to wrap these wires together. So you can see the more times I wrap it, my blue line has now, I've lost some of that sensitivity. And I got a little bit of noise on there. All I did was just kind of wrap those wires together. So wire routing, pretty important. Now you see I didn't really lose too much sensitivity on the strength of my signal. I've just given up some of my window of, so think of it as a good analogy that one of the guys at work uses often is your cell phone strength. You got 0 bars or you got 4 bars. That's your strength. So I went from having 4 bars to 4 bars. I still have good strength, but now I'm within this safety window. I've shrunk it. I had this much safety, no conductive elements, everything's perfect, to now I'm at maybe a 1 or a 2. I'm starting to get to that point where I got to make sure my battery placement is good. I got to make sure that if I have something metallic over here that I'm keeping my wires away from it. But the faucet's adapted and it's still going to work. So if I have this element, and this element, I've got certain things I can work with. Hey, but let's make sure my wires are good. Let's make sure my battery's good. Scott, you got anything
I
to
said we're
add?
open for questions. I mean, that was a lot, right? To kind of digest. You guys got questions?
I recommend you get up, you touch it, you can play with moving the battery pack around, you can see what effect it has. We can maybe
I know we had
open the door.
Plumber yesterday that actually said, well, how can I get this software to go out in the field and check, my faucet and see what it's doing? And I think we all agreed, we're not going to that point. We're not going to try something like that. We don't want you to have to do that, right? Not go out and do diagnostics. We want you to understand it, what it's doing, but if you have one that's not working, you know what to do. But this is the tool that kind of allowed us to understand, why it's not working or what it's doing.
I'm gonna get some pens.
That
but-
battery pack, what if you were to put it in a box, like, on a boat, they put the batteries in a box and it has a lid and the
Yeah.
containers screw down.
Yep.
What if you were to do something like that, like get an electrical box, plastic,
Yep.
that has little ears on the side, you were able to mount it in there and just set it aside nowhere.
Be
That
perfect.
way you don't come back and the cleaner doesn't have it behind the wall.
There you go.
Yeah.
Fix it down at
That's
some
if it's-
point.
Bolts it down and you're
There would be no issues with that as long as it's not conductive.
Yeah.
One of the things I forgot to mention, and Scott talked about a little bit, I don't want people to be intimidated by an electronic faucet. You don't know this is electronic until it's on and you see that blue light. So if your grandma's coming over to your house, you don't have to put this big sign above your sink to help teach her how to use it. It's intuitive. If she comes up, what's she going to do when she wants water your fast? She's going to grab the handle. That's why as soon as you grab this handle, here's your water. And when she leaves, she's going to turn it off. She doesn't need to be educated on how to use your faucet. It's intuitive. If she walks up to your faucet and just wants to move the spout out of the way, it's not going to turn on her. She doesn't have to worry about when the water's running. She doesn't have to be educated on how to use your faucet. We've had a few calls where people are concerned about the electricity. Oh, do I need a GFCI? Right now, we do not offer a hardwire. You're using these batteries. It's low voltage. The shock that you got when you touched your faucet was you discharging the static electricity you gained walking to your faucet. It didn't shock you.
The batteries will last up to 18 months, 2 to 2 years, using the faucet about 100 times a day. So it's not like you're gonna have to replace them every couple months or every 6 months.
If you guys do get in a situation where it is maybe a defective solenoid that has to be replaced and you can't get it replaced that day, you can put this into manual mode. I'll just show you how you do it here. The M&I talks about basically taking these leads off the solenoid, taking your battery pack, and then basically reversing it and turning it on. There's really a simpler way that works 99% of the time, and we can do it on here, but basically it's getting the water flowing. This will show you here, but it's getting the water flowing to the on right now, and then just pulling the battery. Okay, this will now work manually. It's going to be locked open. Okay, so if you get a situation where you can't repair it that day, at least leave the customer with a faucet that they can use. Okay.
Yeah, I did. So it's easy to do from below deck, because we know our battery pack's touch sensitive. You grab that battery pack, turns on, you unplug it. If you're in a situation where you can't, you gotta get a component ordered, or there's something going on, your customer's irate, get it running, unplug it, you got an operating faucet. Now she just has to use it normally.
You don't have AA batteries, you can throw a 9-volt on temporarily for power as well. It won't last as long, but it's, in a pinch.
So chrome's conductive. Our PVD stainless, this is conductive. This is a conductive finish. We do offer some faucets in RB, where Venetia bronze.
The finish bronze.
That is an organic coating. It's not conductive. So for those products, when I go to touch it, I am not directly connecting myself. I'm coupling myself with my area and that area. So in those products, we have a unique module that's finish specific. If you have an RB finish, you can't just take the module off of a chrome or the module off of stainless. You got to get one for an RB. And so in the M&I, it describes that it's a finish specific RP. And that's why. No, this isn't going to be finished, but the electronics need to be tuned for that type of finish. Each one of these has a model number on it, so when you go to order one, I know some plumbers like to carry those things, those extra components. Know that you need one unique for lab, you need one unique for widespread. There's quite a few unique ones that
There are some crossover. I mean, there are some that fit different models, but just be aware that there are different ones.
So does anybody have any questions, comments?
Was this helpful for you?
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely.
Good information. Okay.
Good.
Yeah, the one thing I was
Thank
gonna ask is how you put it in manual mode, but you just answered that.
Yeah, again, the M&I will walk you through this process. I tried to show you there, but for the most part, I've seen where I can just pull the battery pack. As long as you get water flowing, pull the battery.
You know, there's in the M&I, what it will tell you to do is to bypass the solenoid. So if you just shut this handle off, we know that the water's coming into this DST valve, same valve on all of our faucets, and it's exiting through this tube. The solenoids turn on, off, and letting it go up the hose. So if we turn the valve off, we know we don't have any water pressure here. The M&I will tell you to undo this swing clip, pull it down. If you undo the hose, you can just go straight to this and put your clip back on there, which we didn't have a clip on this one, it was on that one.
Yeah, you can do
Put
that
the
on
clip
the
back
integrated.
on, right, and then now you're in good shape. Different story with these guys, because there's not a direct correlation, you gotta have an adapter.
Do they all shut off after 4 minutes?
4 minutes, it will shut off.
Kitchen, for kitchen, lab is 1 minute.
There's some logic behind that. We did some studies. Most laboratory sinks, and this is why. When you're not home, if you have pets, they can get up here. And we actually have some customers whose pets have trained themselves to walk up, touch it, they get their drink of water there, and they walk away. After 4 minutes, this is going to shut off. The standard, smaller, average kitchen bowls, within 4 minutes, they haven't filled up and overflowed if you hadn't had your stoppers in. So stoppers in, small sink, you should be in good shape, you're not going to overflow. Bathroom, a lot smaller, that's why it's a minute.
Yeah, the beverage faucet that's up there too, that's 60 seconds as well, just because it could go on a smaller sink.
Okay. And we said yesterday we'd give a shout out to the Brizo product. We kind of left them off the map. So, for the most part, Brizo, integrated models, Venuto, Talo, Solna. Is that right? Solna? Virtually the same. The only different product, and I'll let you talk about it, Spencer, is Charlotte that we have mounted up here. It's a little different electronics in operation of this product. We're not going to go into a lot of detail, just share with you that it works differently than this product right here.
The only water coming up through this spout is the outlet. And what this is mixed by wire. So this knob right here basically is sending a signal. Basically sending a signal down to a mixing valve. This is almost like a 13-14 series shower valve. It's mixing plates in here that are creating hot and cold tempered water, whatever temperature you're asking for. I'm going to ask for it to be on at different flow rates for cold, just like our 13-14 series. If I want hot, turn all the way around. This thing's, you can hear it down there. It's adjusting to full hot. It's saying it's opening up the full hot port, and it's allowing that full hot port water to flow out. As it gets hot, this light's going to start to turn magenta to red. Obviously, we don't have a heater down here, so it's not going to turn. It's never going to get hot enough. Still touch faucet. It's also proximity.
And actually a much easier product to install. One cable, not a lot of issues with insulation, isolation. It's simpler, I think, from a connection standpoint.
And our battery packs get mounted up on the box away from the floor.
One of the Brizo kitchen touch faucets is actually installed in their working kitchen in the showroom. So
About a dripping faucet on that one.
On this,
Yeah.
if it's dripping, it's your concern is it's dripping under here. We have done extensive testing. These plates in here aren't. It's not rubber. It's not seats and springs. It is a big DST valve. It's ceramic with diamond seal technology. We've done extensive testing on that technology, and we've cycled those plates together for 5 million plus cycles. We will burn that motor out before we wear the coating off those plates.
So we
So,
got drip.
If you
It's
have a
good
drip,
comment, though. That's a good
if you
point.
have a drip, and if there's something wrong with that product
Changing the box.
and it does damage, we own that. And you're gonna get a hold of us and we're gonna look at it, and if there's something wrong that was built wrong or there's a defect, we're gonna make it right.
And there's only 2 replacement parts on that whole model. It's the spout or it's the box.
Yeah.
There's not really a lot now.
so the spout, it's the whole faucet.
There's a clip you have to put on.
Of the 3 parts then, right? Clip the-
Hope it's the clip. That's the cheap one.
I know.
Warranty for the clients.
Don't worry,
Warranty,
it's Brizo.
warranty on this faucet as far as the finish and the DST cartridge, the wand, hose, all that, lifetime warranty, just like all of our products. The electronic portions, 5 years,
Steven on the other one with the box,
same thing.
5 years. And if that box goes out after 5 years, what's that cost?
$1,000.
That's after her markup.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
I don't know, I think it's.
Yeah, I don't know either.
like maybe 200.
eBay, probably get cheaper.
Yeah.
It's just a service standpoint.
Yeah,
Install this
it's
stuff
a
in
good
here.
question, and that's just,
I'm reading
you know,
all this
these
stuff.
guys out here could probably answer it better than I can.
You're talking about-
I've never had to
It's
buy
probably about
one.
$150, $200.
List price of a solenoid.
No, this is the EPV Junior.
Oh,
he's
sorry.
talking
Okay.
about.
Alright.
That one's probably pretty expensive. I know, I mean, our cost is pretty good. There's some stuff going on in there.
So question, in a pinch, you got the 2 different solenoids for 2 different faucets, cause you got the 2 wires. Now what if you had that solenoid, could you splice in another wire and make that work in there
No.
on the feed?
One of the things that you'll notice is that each one of these solenoids, even though they're different, there's one program that we use as a company, and we have some switches in here and some settings that we pre-flash it with, so it knows which path
Get in touch.
to use.